We're searching all over, and an executive from some food company heard us talking about it, and she said, well, just don't put it on the label. That's what everyone else does. And it just drove our mission even more intensely after that, because it just, affirmed that there's so much bullshit in the food that we're eating, and people are being lied to about it. And
yeah. Hey fam, my name is Maxime Sigouin. I'm an entrepreneur, fitness mentor, philanthropist, and founder of the 7-Figure Body, Fit Vegan Coaching, and Empire Builders. I'm an Ironman 70.3 competitor and hybrid athlete who loves to use fitness as a means to help others live their life to their fullest potential. This show is here to help you unleash your true self and level up your life in all areas that matters. Enough talking, let's get into the show. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another podcast episode. Today, I'm joined by two good friends, Noah and Kaytee. How are you guys doing today?
amazing.
Good. Good.
Very well. Thank you.
Yes. I only have two mics at my house, so we're going to be close to the mic.
It's the ultimate test. Can the husband and wife share a mic?
Yes. Awesome. Well, so for the people listening, we've known each other for since a few months now, maybe 6 months. Pretty much since I came back. I landed in LA through Sebastian. So today we're going to be talking about Nutrigazm. So you guys can see on the screen here if you're listening on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, you can go on YouTube and look at the bag. It's beautiful. It's actually going to be rebranded, right?
Yeah, we just have new packaging coming in and just finished our third batch. So they're getting bagged up this week. Beautiful.
So today we're going to talk about Nutrigazm. We're going to talk about you guys' story, kind of how it came about. And disclaimer for the people listening, I did make an investment in Nutrigazm, so I am financially tied. I feel like legally I have to say that before I push something. So let's get into it. Like, what brought you guys? What is your story? What is your health story?
Do you want to start?
Sure. I mean, my health story, I would say my journey, just a personal growth journey, began with nutrition and just kind of operating from, previously I was operating from more of a fear over love perspective. Yeah. And just working out because I was afraid I was going to gain weight, or eating too little because I was afraid that I was going to gain weight. And then this concept of love over fear was introduced to me, and it really just changed my entire perspective on life, that I can eat because I love my body and work out because I love my body. And yeah, I became really passionate about wanting to share that with as many people as possible.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So I help you have a healthier relationship with nutrition, with exercise, instead
of using myself. Yeah.
So using it as a means to run away from something. Now you're running towards something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right. Noah, what about you, man?
Well, I've been an athlete my whole life, and but never really paid any mind to nutrition until, I guess, in my early 30s, my metabolism started slowing down a little bit. So all of a sudden, belly fat became an issue. And then, as you're aware, I was running a music technology company. It's for several years that I started with a friend of mine from college. And he left the company in 2015 and I took over. And just kind of the CEO stress load. And the company's health was really, really good, but we went through some topsy-turvy ownership with great people, but just interesting scenarios that I won't get too deep into, but you've heard all about it.
Yeah.
And had a few exits, and that was all great, and super grateful for all of that. But that came with an incredible stress load, and managing a team of 10 execs and another 40 kids, all amazing people. But the music technology space is very crowded and super competitive, and so probably drinking a little more alcohol than I should have, and eating really high fat, high sugar diet, and chronic pain started to become a real issue in my mid 30s, and I really wanted to start addressing that, and so I started working with Sevi, who Sevi Mangrum is my holistic wellness coach for now almost 7 years. And we started dialing in nutrition a good bit, along with, more conscious wellness efforts. And same as Kaytee, trying to change it from a fear-based approach to eating and working out into a more conscious and loving thyself, Yeah. And just a couple years ago now, I also went vegan. And I think that was, I started this journey into vegetarianism, pescatarianism about 8 or 9 years ago. And I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, really started trimming out a lot of added sugar and trimming out more dairy and things like that. And red meat was kind of gone, and became pescatarian, and noticed the inflammation just decreasing and and the stress load becoming more manageable.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years ago, I quit drinking in 2021, just after we got married, actually. And that was an incredible trigger to decrease the chronic inflammation as well.
Yeah.
And then a few months after that, I'm like, oh, I have this thing called discipline. Like, wow, I never thought I had any of that, really. And of course, we all do. We brush our teeth every morning. We do different things that are very disciplinary acts, but we don't really give ourselves a lot of credit for it.
Yeah.
And so quitting drinking, not that I was a raging alcoholic or anything, but especially during COVID, you know, we did a fair amount of night drinking, and we were very productive during COVID, and we got a lot of work done, and the company's health was excellent. But the liver health was not so great. And so, after June 2021, quit drinking, and then learning that I was really starting to learn how to squeeze my discipline muscle. And so I became vegan just a few weeks after we actually went scuba diving for the first time. So I'm a bleeding heart animal lover, as you all know. And so that was sort of the final trigger to make the jump to vegan, was going down under the ocean and seeing my pescatarian friends in their environment, and really starting to feel like I have the muscle. I can ixnay, you know, the fish from the diet and get the dairy out once and for all. And that was an incredible final trigger to really release the chronic inflammation. So sorry, that was a really long and verbose answer. I'm known for those. And but that's it. That's my long journey. You know, if you're a young athlete, you don't really have to worry at all about this stuff. You just kind of stuff your face with whey protein or whatever's working at the time, and then you know, as the metabolism curve starts to tail off, you have to start being a little more conscious and put a lot more effort into it.
Yeah, that's perfect. Long answers are fine. This podcast, if we're shooting a reel, those are tough. Keep that shit under 60 seconds. I like to talk too. So obviously you're in the music industry as well. How have you guys been feeling having such a big journey on the health side, now being able to kind of start and launch this company in the health space?
Yeah, you know, I've been mostly in entertainment for the majority of my career, and kind of oscillated between wellness and entertainment at certain times, but wellness has always been my passion. So being able to go from, you know, working with Grammy-nominated artists and doing the whole red carpet scene, which doesn't have a whole lot of depth to it, if I'm being honest, and kind of ran its course as I got older too, and, you know, started to realize what was actually important in life. Being able to segue into wellness and what I'm actually passionate about has been really rewarding, and very excited to see what else is to come.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's been it's been a really interesting journey. I love to learn, and I love new challenges. Yeah. And so, not to sound like an incredible smart aleck, but I sort of know just about everything there is to know about the music industry and the technology around music, and reached a pretty high point in that space. You know, spoke on the Senate subcommittee for IP on the Senate floor a couple times, and copyright Congress meetings and things like that, and did some lobbying on behalf of copyright advocacy. And being an artist myself, and producing and songwriting and DJing for many, many years, it's nice to just be doing that for fun and working on my own music, and not having to stress about the rigors and the wellness of other artists and the health of music artistry on this grand holistic level. Yeah. And I think on some level, you know, when you get to a space where I got in the music space, there whether you want to admit it to yourself or not, there is some hint of egoism about it, where you're like, oh, I'm doing big things, I've had big exits, blah blah blah. And it's been humbling and really beautiful to just kind of do a total 180 and shift. Yeah. And all credit due to the music industry. There's so many lovely people there, but I think on the wellness side, it's probably not the healthiest industry to be in. You know, most of the events involve happy hours and drinking, and I don't drink anymore. And so it was a good time to shift for me, quitting drinking in 21 and becoming vegan. It just made a lot of sense to do this. And as you well know, I mean, we're supporting our mutual dear friend Sebastian, who's the brilliant nutritionist behind the product. And Sebastian's given so much to our lives, in terms of our own spirituality and our own pursuit of, a higher consciousness, and we really owe a lot to Seb. And I think this is just a great effort for the three of us. We're all really amazing friends. Kaytee and Seb are very, very close, as are Seb and I, and as are you and Seb. And so supporting Sebastian on his journey and bringing him back into this space has been really important and meaningful to both of us, I think.
Yeah. No, Sebastian's an amazing man. I think I mentioned him a few times on the podcast, but Sebastian, for the people listening, Sebastian's a guy that supported me through the cancer years, financially, job-wise, housing-wise, when I lost everything. He put a roof over my head with my ex. Sebastian's an angel. He's amazing.
Yeah, you can get tears in your eyes really easily talking about Sebastian. Yeah. I'm kind of tearing up a little bit right now. I just love him so much. I call him the Wookiee. We love that dude, though. We love him so much.
Best.
So let's talk about Nutrigazm. So this I've mentioned before, Vitago. So I brought in Vitago before online and on the podcast. So Vitago is like version 1.0 of Nutrigazm. Ultimately, probably way more longer than that. Probably like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, it was 2017, 2018.
Yeah, so it's been a while, because I remember it was on the tail end of Vitago, and I had lost my job. I had lost my apartment and everything. And he was like, dude, just run the company. I was like, me? I've never done this shit. He's like, here's some bags, book some demos, go sell some bags. I was like, oh, okay. And first person that really believed in me that way. Yeah. And so I went and I sold the shit out of those bags, because that's the only way I could make money. He's like, dude, you're selling more than me, and I'm the founder. I'm like, I need to make money. But ultimately, it was an amazing product because it made a huge difference in my ex's cancer journey. And I encountered Seb maybe like a month after my ex got cancer. And I was put in contact with him because I was told Vitago was amazing, and it was. And it was a huge game changer. So when it had to shut down, I was pretty bummed. I was like, dude, that's such a great product. But I don't think the world was ready for that type of product. And I don't think it was ready for the flavor profile of Vitago back in the day. This tastes a lot better than Vitago. Vitago tasted like dirt, but it was so good for you. I don't care.
Made you feel so
it did. It's incredible how you felt. Vitago was amazing. So, first of all, I love the name change. So how did Nutrigazm come about? Because every time I tell people, it's like, I invested in this company, like, what is it called? Like Nutrigazm. I'm like, that's a fucking great name.
That's the response.
Thank you. well, we wanted to be moderately to highly disruptive with the brand, just to shake things up. And I say this with fully admitting that we had a Sanskrit dictionary out, like all the other brands have had out when they came up with their brand names.
Yeah.
And looking at the different letters and terms and kind of going that high vibe realm. And of course, Sebastian and myself were both really into etymology, like where words come from and how a word becomes a word. And Gazm is sort of a root, just means exploding, right? Yeah. And so... And somebody had been on Nutra-Well or maybe it was you or Sebastian, I don't know. And then we were up in our place in Mammoth and having this big brainstorm. We'd already started test formulating the product, and I think I just blurted out Nutrigazm, and Sebastian and Kaytee both looked at me like, oh, holy shit, that's it. Like, boom, done. And then we immediately jumped on GoDaddy and locked up domains and locked up some ancillary spelling domains. Yeah. And we have a couple other, backup brand names as well, but we've just been loving Nutrigazm, and we get the response that we want to get from it. Like we've had actually several customers, females in their late 60s to early 80s.
Yeah. 70s, 80s.
84, I think that one lady is, and she absolutely loves the name. Our recipe cards say the perfect morning Gazm that we send out with the bags in the gift box or in the first purchase box. And Kaytee, do you have that text on you?
I'm sure I can find it.
It's hilarious. I believe this woman's 84 or something like that. And she said, I love the name and it makes me smile, and I'm always looking forward to my morning Gazm. And so really... It does what the intent of it was, which is health and wellness is a really serious thing.
Yeah.
But to bring some fun and lightness to it with a better flavored product, I think is really meaningful to a lot of people who, you know, you and I and Kaytee, we take this stuff very, very seriously. Other people want to feel healthier and feel better and feel happy, but not have to take it so seriously. And so I think Nutrigazm as a brand is that perfect parity point, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't mean to have you digging through your phone, but
You described it well, but it's just a lower barrier to entry and makes health more approachable for people that aren't necessarily on their health journey yet. And, you know, like I mentioned before, nutrition was the start of my journey and the start of my journey to self-love and self-acceptance. And so being able to provide that in an approachable way to people through nutrition and through something that makes people smile and laugh, you know, doesn't get much better. Yeah,
I think it brings back the term health curious. We really wanted a name that would be approachable for the health curious, and I think some of the brands out there, they sound so serious,
like pharmaceutical type,
or just like really the consciousness vibe is so high. It's like, I don't meditate, I don't go to yoga, I don't know if this is for me, kind of thing. And I think just about anybody can get down with Nutrigazm.
You know? Yeah, I think guys found a nice medium, because I feel like on one side you can go like very hippy dippy and then very pharmaceutical, and you guys are very much, and it's approachable for everyone, and everyone can kind of resonate with it.
Yeah, and don't get us wrong, the product is actually very serious. And
no, it is.
Very
That's
high
what's funny about it, right?
Yes, exactly.
Super high quality, but then the name makes it really approachable. Right. Yeah, it doesn't sound like, you know, it could be that just, you know, someone that's in their 40s is trying to get healthier could take. It was something that also like a bodybuilder could take, someone like an Ironman could take as well, right? Because if you go with like, I'll just, you know, Mutant Mass, which used to be a brand I used to take back in the day, you know, a 40-year-old mom training at home is not going to take that shit. Right. It's a little bit too intense of a name.
I wonder if that's the name of that gentleman.
I was just thinking that.
We were hanging out Saturday night. We went out dancing Saturday, and we were all back at our house with some of the crew that had gone out to this party, and we were talking to one of our friends. I won't name him just to keep it confidential. And he was explaining to us that he's been taking a protein powder that's almost 2,000 calories a serving.
Mass gainers.
Mass gainer. And Katie's like, let us see the ingredient list. And
the flavor is Fruit Loops, and then cookies
usually,
and cream.
Usually they're super sweet.
And so the first ingredient is maltodextrin.
Yeah.
and I turn to him and I say, "Hey, bleep name.
Yeah.
How are your shits?" He goes, "Oh, they're god fucking awful."
And you also said you should be concerned that the first ingredient is sugar,
protein powder,
and not the
protein.
Man, those mass gainers. There's another one called. That was my first one ever that like my dad let me take back in the day. It was called Incredible Bulk. Like
was it green?
No, it was. I got those like banana marshmallow candies. You ever had those before? Maybe just in Canada.
Yes.
But that's what it tasted like. Like the exact. It was like drinking marshmallow banana. It was crazy. But yeah, it was about 2,000 calories a serving. Each scoop was about this big, and you'd fill it up like with the appropriate servings. And if your shaker is this tall, this much would be powder. So you have to put water, shake it, add water, shake it, add water, shake it to be able to make it. But yeah, and it's just a ton of sugar. It was usually around like 130 grams of carbs, 50 grams of protein, and probably like 20 some grams of fat in it. Half those carbs were sugar. It's pretty. It's pretty nasty.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because we have some new formulas that obviously I'm not going to describe exactly what they are here, but they will be a much higher glucose profile, so will be better for that sort of gains protein. But just like the flagship product, they're going to be all organic, 100% whole food ingredients.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be more fruit powder and hemp protein based. But really excited about those because those will be more in tune with people who are just looking for a big glucose and hemp flush, after a big workout and try and get their gains on. So and really high flavonoid profile on those ones as well. So we're super excited to bring those to market.
Good. Yeah. Well, I'm excited for those. I don't need to bulk anymore, but maybe my brothers, I'll send them some.
Right. Well, the other thing, sorry, just really quickly about this product too, is that we've done a really good job balancing the adaptogens and nootropic profile in these. So, but you sort of really wouldn't want to push past the 4 tables per day on this, because we've, as you know, Sebastian's a genius. So we've done a very good job of balancing the bioavailability and sort of reaching close to max on each of these adaptogenic ingredients for the day.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've often said that sometimes I'll split 2 tablespoons morning, 2 tablespoons afternoon of this. But with the new products, with the new hemp protein products that we'll be bringing out, there's sort of going to be no upper limit to how much you could take per day, which will also be great again for gains.
Yeah. So I take a full serving. I take 4 every day. So you mentioned 2 words that potentially some people might not know what it is: adaptogenic and nootropic. Nootropic. So, do you mind explaining what's an adaptogen and nootropic? I know what they are, but
Yeah, absolutely. Adaptogens support stress resilience. So, if you think about it, stress can be anything. A lot of times, adaptogens are marketed as just calming. You know, for a lot of people, they're non-alcoholic drinks that people will take.
Kava.
Yeah, exactly, for that calming, which is 100% accurate, of course, but it can also do basically it adapts to whatever your body needs in the moment. So I haven't seen another product out there that actually is explaining that adaptogens can really give you what you need in real time. So a really great example of that is, we take it in the morning. We take Nutrigazm in the morning, gives us energy. And then our neighbor who has a, what does she have?
She's on the fibromyalgia spectrum. So she's just sort of nondescript chronic pain. That's just, you know, phantom pain moving around her body. It's really tough for her. Yeah.
And she takes a nap every day, or she used to. And then she started taking Nutrigazm at night for her dinner. And she started getting the best sleep of her life. And she also stopped napping. So it literally just adapted to what her body was needing in that moment.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just a personal anecdote. When we were test formulating the product in our kitchen with Sebastian visiting, and he was describing in great detail, as Sebastian can do, what adaptogens are and the different herbs and extracts that are adaptogenic. We would notice that we would make a new test batch. You know, we're hand formulating there with a food scale in the kitchen, and you know, we'd whip it up, and everybody'd have a full smoothie, and it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, which is pretty close to bedtime for us. And we'd be feeling really jacked up, you know, from the theobromine and the chaga. Theobromine's in the cacao, and chaga's chaga, of course, another energetic. And then we'd go brush our teeth and get ready for bed, and just 20 minutes after that feeling of just like, woo, I could take on the world. Yeah. You could feel the adaptogenic profile of all these ingredients just adjust to what your body really needed in real time, and we'd have great sleeps. Mm-hmm. And I think another quality of adaptogens that Seb likes to point out that I think I'll bring out as well is that adaptogenic ingredients tend to be very capable of growing in high stress environments. Yeah. So the plants and herbs that are adaptogenic extracts are actually able to adapt to the physical environment in different growth conditions, and that's what gives them this unique characteristic when they're ingested in the human body. Pretty trippy.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was going to add, because that was a part of my pitch for Vitago back in the day. I was like, they get that property by being able to grow in different environments, cold, hot, dry, humid, whatever it may be. Yeah. And then one of the parts I want to add is it also helps the body. It can't benefit just one part of the body. If it's an adaptogenic, it benefits the body as a whole. So you can't, if you take something that just benefits the kidney, it's not an adaptogenic herb. Right? It has to benefit the body as a whole. And it's really cool that it meets you where you're at. So if you're super high stress, it'll kind of like calm you down. Yeah. If you're in the morning and your cortisol's about to spike so that you can kind of start the day, it kind of help you with that. And at nighttime, if you're producing melatonin to go to sleep, it'll just kind of help enhance everything. Yeah, they're freaking cool. They're cool herbs. So
it's really remarkable. And that actually flows really nicely with our new tagline, which is whole body happiness. And that's exactly what adaptogens do.
Beautiful.
Nootropics, those are for cognition, increased cognition and such. So a lot of people who have taken Adderall, they get off of Adderall and start taking different nootropics. And so chaga, rhodiola, those help you focus. And we had a friend who he started taking the product during tax season, and he was just so excited that he had Nutrigazm for his taxes because it helped him focus and get everything done.
Well, I think that's also a common misconception about nootropics, in that, of course, I'm sure, I'm not trying to sling mud here at all. Of course, the market wants consumers to think that certain things are only available in certain formats. So I think a lot of people are under the impression that a nootropic is a chemical compound or a supplement that comes in a pressed pill or in a gel capsule, but that's not actually true. And there are tons of nootropics that nature grows, and most of those chemical compounds or pressed pills, gel capsules, are being derived and or designed after the organic chemical structure of herbs and extracts like chaga and rhodiola and sea buckthorn berry, all of which are ingredients in the product. So.
Yeah. What do you think? Most drugs are based off compounds from plants.
Right.
And then they just put them in concentrated form, right? Yeah. I don't know if it's the right drug, but modafinil, is that the one for like neurotropic that some people will take? But there's so many you don't know what the side effects are going to be with that. It's definitely a lot better to go kind of for healthy alternatives.
What goes up must come down.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So I think the more naturally you can supplement yourself, and honestly, you'll notice, and I'm sure you do as well, masticating is very important for proper nutrient absorption. Chewing, yes. Is unfamiliar with that term? So when we make our smoothies, I sort of consciously chew, and you can notice a difference the more effort you put into prepping your gut biome to get all that bioavailability out of whatever it is you're eating. And so I think it is an interesting question, and I'm not a food scientist and I'm not a doctor, so I don't know the answer, but is it as effective to just swallow a pill that contains some structured nootropic as it would be to chew an herb or something like that?
Yeah,
maybe you know the answer.
Yeah, so I had a lot of conversation with doctor about this stuff, because some people say they'll what's the company Soylent, right? Right. So I watched a video on that maybe a decade ago when it first came out, and everyone's like, this guy's fucking cuckoo, and because he's basically made a bunch of compounds and putting it together to make the perfect meal. But the thing is, when you consume an apple, there's a lot of other micronutrients and minerals and fiber that help the absorption of each other. So if you're to grab pure vitamin C in a tablet form versus eating it in the form of the bell pepper, there's things in the bell pepper that help increase the absorption of the vitamin C and that benefit the body as a whole, and with the fiber that comes with it. So in a pill, you don't get fiber, you don't get any of the other vitamins or minerals that comes with it. So it said everything else that comes with it. And they were using the example of an apple, right? A lot of people can say what are all the vitamins and minerals that are in an apple, but they admitted that there's still a shit ton in there that we don't even know exists. That's inside of an apple that we maybe will know in a decade from now. So there's other things contributing to the absorption and explaining why eating whole foods is a lot better than taking supplements for them. Supplements will never be able to replace a whole food.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, good way to put it. So I want to dive into the ingredients for Nutrigazm. So before we dive into the ingredients, I want to not make a disclaimer for people listening. But how I explain Nutrigazm is because I went on this whole journey of cancer, and Vitago was such a pivotal part. I always tell people, if I was to have cancer, if Ivy was to have cancer, my mom was to have cancer, I would buy 50 fucking bags of this and ship it to their house. That's the thing that I would be confident giving them to them if they're going through this health challenge. Right? That's how I feel about it, because that's a 2.0 version of Vitago, and that's what it did for Jen back then. So to me, that's how crucial and important that is. Yeah. And I love the ingredient list on it, so we can dive into it. You want to go over it? You need the bag, or on top of your head?
I'll actually just add to it that my mom was diagnosed with metastatic breast and bone cancer around this time last year, and we had just finished up sort of final formulation a couple months prior, and I flew out to Canada to see her. She's now in Denver. She's doing very, very well. she's super stable, and she's lost tons of weight. She's totally killing it. But Nutrigazm was one of the things that really started her on a new health journey, helped her gut biome really come together, and she started feeling a lot better. I literally raced out there to see her after the diagnosis, and brought a bunch of the ingredients and went to a local store where she was living in Belleville at the time to buy a bunch of the separate ingredients as well, and just sort of kind of dosing her up with all these different whole food powders. Yeah. And she's been taking Nutrigazm ever since we finished the first production. So it's great to hear you say that. Obviously, cancer is a really tough thing for anybody to be dealing with and the related family members, but I think the food that you put into your body really has a lot to do with how good you feel, obviously, if not everything to do with how good you feel.
I think that's everything, yeah. And I'll just, again, put in a disclaimer out there. This is our own personal experience. We doesn't say that it didn't cure cancer.
Absolutely.
Right? There's laws. That's why we mention it. But, yeah, it's our own personal experience and personally what I would do. You guys know I'm pretty much of an open book, so that's what I would do. Yeah.
So, yeah, well, ingredients-wise...
it's obviously... Would you guys call this a protein powder, a superfood? Like, how would you guys kind of label it?
We started calling it a protein powder, but we realized that wasn't doing it justice. Yeah. So it is an adaptogenic protein blend, but it is
sounds cooler.
Yes, but it is high in protein. It has 22 grams for one serving.
For sure, one serving. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just
and 9 grams of fiber too.
Yeah, and it does have 0 added sugars, so there's a decent amount of natural sugar from the sea berry and the coconut water powder, but it still is, because of all that dietary fiber, the net soluble fiber and net sugar net carbs rather is quite low and kind of qualifies on the ketogenic spectrum. So yeah, the main ingredients, a hemp heart protein, which for people who've had bad experience with hemp protein prior. As you mentioned, Vitago, the original Nutrigazm, if you will, that was a hemp seed protein.
Yeah.
And so if you've had hemp protein before, and it's been kind of green and brown and kind of looks and tastes like dirt, we're using hemp heart protein, which is a much higher density protein molecule that's actually. You hold the hemp seed and then crack the hemp seed open, and inside of that is this very dense protein powder that's the hemp heart. So it's a much whiter, kind of lighter, and much easier on the palate.
Yeah, and it blends better.
Much creamier. It blends much better. Yeah. It's not very coarse at all. And then the second ingredient, of course, is cacao. Then we have, let's see if I could do it, moringa. By the way, for every bag purchase, we donate a 1-month supply of moringa to undernourished youth in Africa, which is something that we set up through Priceless Farms, who's our partner on the moringa.
Nice.
Our dear friend Aaron, who's a good friend of Sebastian, who helped Sebastian discover moringa. So moringa can practically sustain life on its own.
Nature's multivitamin.
Yeah, nature's multivitamin. So we've got the hemp heart protein, cacao, coconut water powder, moringa, chaga, sea buckthorn berry, rhodiola,
sea salt,
Ceylon cinnamon, sea salt, monk fruit extract, and I'm always missing one of the adaptogens. No, I already got that.
No, you got all of them.
No,
you got hemp.
I always forget one. Did I forget sea buckthorn berry?
Oh, no, you
chlorella.
Chlorella.
I always forget chlorella, which is the gut biome regulator, and it's a really important one. So yeah, chlorella is higher in the ingredient list. So that's the totality of the 11 ingredients. We haven't certified our product as certified organic, but every single ingredient that we order and source is certified organic. So everything that's going into the bag is certified organic. One of the things that we're really proud of here is that we've created our own closed loop supply chain. So I'm sure you're relatively familiar with this stuff, Maxim, which is that a lot of these other powder companies are making you could make a phone call and have a protein powder tomorrow.
Yeah.
You could call up a manufacturer, co-packer, labeler, all in one stop sort of shop for this sort of stuff and create a product within a matter of a few days to weeks. Yeah. They've got all the ingredients on the shelves.
Very cheaply, I might add.
Yeah, very cheaply.
Yeah.
And We did the exact opposite. As you know, Sebastian would never go for that. And we wanted to really create a highly premium product, which is why our price tag is a little bit more substantial than some of the competitors.
It's relative.
But the efficacy of the product is so much higher. And I think, again, not trying to sling mud or throw stones from glass houses, but we've got 11 ingredients here. They're all bioavailable and ready for you to digest and take in the nutrients. When you talk about some of these other competitive products or the greens powders, when you've got 75 ingredients in one serving, I mean, when's the last time you sat down at the dinner table and ate 75 different foods? Yeah. And when you start to really break out a lot of this, transparent labeling of these products, again, I won't mention a name, but I will say
I know which one you're talking about.
One of our competitors talks about their 500 milligrams of greens in their meal replacement powder. And I did this the other day. I took out my food scale in the kitchen and I got a leaf of spinach out and I put it on the scale and it weighed 1 gram, which is 1,000 milligrams. Yeah. So you've got brands out there claiming they've got a full serving of greens in one serving of their powder, when in fact it's a half a leaf of spinach in the totality of the 8 different greens that they have in their super greens blend. So we really want to educate consumers on these issues. Again, not by slinging mud, but just telling them straight up, like, this is what's going on. And the fact is, I think a lot of people, when they start to take these super blends, the primary reason that they're feeling better is because they're getting healthy protein. Yeah. And then everything else that's sort of sub the protein blend level in these products, or sub the, when it comes to greens powders, it's mostly chlorella or spirulina. Yeah. And those are the bioavailable quantities in those powders. Yeah. And after that, it's all just a way to fill up a bag and really have a low marginal cost on production. Yeah. I wish we had a really low marginal cost on production. This stuff's really expensive to make because we put enough of everything that's in there for all of those things to actually be efficacious and work for you.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of brands do claim that they're, providing you with specific benefits, and then you're going to, have all of these, an illustrious list of all these different, mental clarity and focus and whatever, weight loss, whatever it is. And for that to actually happen, you have to have a specific amount of that ingredient. Yeah. And there are no regulations on that. Yeah. So that's something you actually have to look out for yourself about.
And you have to know about it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And there's not much education out there. So we are trying to, we're here to kind of educate game changers and educate people in that realm.
Yeah. All that said, I think taking any meal replacement with a good amount of healthy protein in it is better than eating a pig. So I just want to say
for
that.
Sure. Yeah.
Of course.
I got a few things to mention. So one of them is like, yes, as soon as people see that there is a higher content of protein, they forget everything else. Right? Let's say Mars bars came out with a protein bar. Yeah. It's a Mars bars with protein powder in it, and people are buying it like crazy because it has like 10, 15 grams of protein in it, right? It's still shit. It's still a candy bar that you're eating at the end of the day. Yeah. I used to work for a supplement company way back in the day. Not going to name their name, but I was a part of the meetings that came with like, what are we going to put on the bag? And they had like a list of what they were allowed to claim. And they're like, this one sounds good. This one sounds good. This one sounds good. And then they're like, what's trending on Google Trends? And then they would find it to Google Trends, and it'd be like, we're going to put all these things on the bag, right? Yeah. And obviously there's like legal claims that you can't make, but like whatever was trending, whatever sounded good in terms of like certifications they can put on it, that's what they put on the bag. And the quality, was terrible. And it's kind of the same thing for those other brands. I feel like I've been a part of the movement of saying the truth and doing the real shit that makes a difference in people's lives, like eating whole food, plant-based, exercising, taking the long road versus the short road. Yeah. And in a supplement space, I think it's the same with consumers. They want the thing that sounds cool, that has a lot of shit in it, and that's high in protein. If it's high in protein and it has 700 different greens in it, unfortunately, that's the thing that's going to sell more because it's shit. But it sounds cool. But I know that those people eventually, the people that kind of use these products, eventually will be like, oh, it's actually shit. I'm not actually feeling anything. And then that's why it's important for us to kind of like stick with it in the long run, because people will try it and they'll be like, oh, this stuff actually works. I actually feel good on this.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to educate yourself on these types of things, because what you're eating either makes you healthier or it makes you sick. So.
Yeah, you can literally spend like money on a supplement, on another protein brand, and it'd be investing against you becoming unhealthy, basically.
It's interesting because, again, I think one of the primary components of people feeling so much better and having more energy is finally getting a really healthy dose of protein when they take some of these higher ingredient count blends. We've had several converts come over from other meal replacement and protein blends who said, well, I lost a bunch of weight and I felt really good, but it hurt my tummy.
Yeah.
We're like, wait a second.
With the competitive brand.
With the competitive brand, yeah. Sorry. And when you go through some of these high ingredient count blends, and you look through them, I mean, they're so much less hypoallergenic in theory because there's just such a higher ingredient count.
And a lot of them add digestive enzymes in it to help the digestion of all the ingredients that are in it.
Right.
When it's healthy, you don't need to do that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right, and gums. I think that's a lot. There are so many digestive irritants in all of these, in a majority of these products. And
if you're, put it this way, I used to drink a lot of whey protein powder when I was bought it. If your fart smells nasty, stop taking whatever you're taking. That's the truth, man. Yeah.
I could get into some real TMI stuff about gut health and what you see in the toilet when you take a lot of gums. Yeah, because you can actually see it. I know it's gross, but it's true. You can bear witness to the gums.
And I would challenge the listeners to go to the grocery store or wherever and look at ingredient lists and see that a majority, probably, 95% or more of things, of protein powders on the shelves have gum in it.
Yeah.
That's another thing that we really like, focusing on the hemp protein as well. It's so much more bioavailable and hypoallergenic. And it also, this is when we really wish Seb was here to get into this stuff. But
he's coming in a few days, in a week.
We'll see him soon. Hemp protein also has a really good amino profile and something called, I believe it's called edestin, which is so similar to human blood plasma that I guess it can be used in transfusions or something like it. It's completely insane.
Hemp is 1/3 albumin and 2/3 edestin. So albumin is also a highly bioavailable source of protein. Eggs is the one that contains the most amount of albumin. That's why I say it's the best protein of like the meat world. But edestin, is literally the same as what's available in your body. And hemp is 2/3 of edestin and 1/3 of albumin. So it's like literally the best of both worlds in one.
So again, Seb and Maxime can explain it much better than I, but that is why Seb had us lean into the hemp heart protein as opposed to using rice protein, quinoa protein, or any of these grains proteins, which are generally solid as well, but also will have a greater tendency to upset individual gut biomes because they are grainier, starchier proteins.
For sure.
Maxime, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, for sure.
How would you
I'm on the stand.
How would you compare, your experience, aside from the stinky farts, of whey protein? Like, why would, probably one of the most popular questions we get is, why would someone drink hemp over whey?
Yeah, well, why someone should use hemp over any other form of protein, but whey specifically, obviously farts were nasty, but my digestion was terrible. Mucus production in my nose because there's still some lactose in it, so it comes from dairy. And you don't feel satiated necessarily after a protein shake. Like it's a little bit of the protein that keeps you satiated because the thermogenics effect of protein takes a little bit more to digest. But for example, with hemp, because it has a higher fiber content, you actually get like real satiety. It actually lasts a lot longer, and you don't have the digestive issues. You still fart, but it's just not as nasty. We're human at the end of the day. Come on. But there's a big difference in digestion, and obviously that translates to energy. Because if you have terrible digestion, your body's spending all the energy trying to digest the food, and you just kind of feel tired and lethargic all the time.
I really started to notice that when we started I've been using the product now for over a year. I lost 17 pounds within the first 5 months that we were formulating.
Yeah.
And that was like old stored belly fat that was just like so hard to get rid of. But I really, when we've talked about this, I believe a bit as well, that, and again, I'm not a certified nutritionist or dietitian, so this is just my own personal experience, and none of this is FDA approved or anything like that. But I've noticed even on big workout days, I could take, 1,500 to maybe 2,200 calories in. Yeah. And if they're really solid, nutritionally dense calories, I feel incredibly satiated. Yeah. And I wake up recovered the next day. Whereas I could go eat 7,000 calories of vegan chocolate croissants, and I'm not going to be able to do anything the next day.
Yeah.
And I'll be really sad because starch, I've found, is sort of a depressor for me, actually.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the people that are listening are members of our Fit Vegan program or previous members. We're over 700 plus people now that we help transform.
Congrats.
Thank you. All of them complained originally that it was too much food to eat on their first meal plan. I'm like, we're trying to lose weight. It's a good problem to have. You can't eat all the food. But yeah, if you do high volume, high fiber, high micronutrient content, you feel so satiated, so full, so energized, and you don't have to consume as much calories, right? And kind of to show the example, if you go eat McDonald's or a vegan burger, or you eat a Buddha bowl, and it's the same amount of calories and same amount of protein, you'll feel differently after each of them. Yeah. Right? So the quality of the food matters tremendously. Absolutely. And sometimes people forget that, especially in the fat loss world, right? You're tracking your food, it's macros, right? It's your protein, it's your calories, which is important to a shift in body composition. But if you fill it with crap, you're going to feel terrible. Your digestion's going to be terrible, your sleep, your hormones, your skin's going to be terrible. So the quality of what you put in your body matters. And that's why, when Sebastian and you guys kind of connected and basically rebrought Fightigo 2.0 to live, I got so excited because I know Sebastian doesn't tolerate any bullshit when it comes to clean ingredients and building a clean product. I know he really believes in it to the point where he launched it when the market wasn't ready, and he was like, fuck this, I'm still going for it, and I'm still going to push. So that's why I'm happy you guys did that, because going back to kind of that white labeling conversation, obviously we have a big brand with Fit Vegan, we have a large following in that space, and I was thinking of doing my own supplement thing, and I look at some of those white label companies. The ingredients suck. I didn't feel confident putting my brand on some of those products that were white label because of all the terrible ingredients. Yeah. And so when Sebastian was like, dude, partner with Noah and Kaytee, we're doing Nutrigazm, basically this is the ingredient list. I'm like, dude, let me just jump in on this instead.
Well, and you don't even know, just because you're calling a white labeler and you're asking them to put hemp protein in at 70%, you don't actually know that that's what's going on.
Yeah.
And so I can't remember who was telling us this. Anecdotally, we heard from somebody. They were taking some product, they were buying tubs and tubs of some product for months. And then the company went under, it got sued and went into bankruptcy, because whatever was in the tub had absolutely nothing to do with what was on the ingredient list. So again, I'm not trying to put the fear of God in anybody.
But that's the reality of the food industry.
But it is the reality of this space, is that if it's more on the white label sort of bulk production side of the powder supplement spectrum, the sort of the veracity of what's in the bag and on the NFT, on the nutrition facts table, can be highly questionable. And so that's another thing we're really proud of. Again, I think I mentioned it earlier, is that we closed the loop on the supply chain. So we order all the ingredients ourselves. Our co-packers, our dear friend Ryan at MOQ Formulas up in Azusa. So he's running these small batch productions for us. He's an absolute expert in blending. He'll give us feedback on the formulation. We know all of the suppliers. I do the ordering personally. Seb qualifies the ingredients. He qualifies sort of, I believe it's called the D-Tau. Sort of we're finding the ingredients from where they naturally thrive the most. So moringa, from Uganda and the Nile River Basin is just exceptional moringa. Cacao from Peru, et cetera, sea buckthornberry from the Tibetan Plateau, rhodiola from the Tibetan Plateau.
Which means they're much more nutritionally dense.
Right. When you source the ingredient from where it naturally is occurring, then you're going to get a better nutrition profile on the ingredient. Again, Seb could explain this stuff much better.
Yeah. We'll have Seb on the podcast at one point when he's back in town.
I have a quick anecdotal story about people not being truthful about what's on the ingredient list. We were at Food Supply West?
Supply Side
West. Last year, 2 years ago. And we were looking for pure coconut water powder that didn't have maltodextrin in it.
Yeah.
And maltodextrin helps it not be so cakey, so it looks prettier, basically.
Yeah.
And we were searching all over, and an executive from some food company heard us talking about it, and she said, well, just don't put it on the label. That's what everyone else does.
Yeah.
And so it was Seb and I who were having this conversation, and we were just fucking appalled. And it just drove our mission even more intensely after that, because it just, affirmed that there's so much bullshit in the food that we're eating, and people are being lied to about it. And we got to change that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's I think there's 3 or 4 big manufacturers that produce a lot of the protein companies' content in the United States. And most people's brand that they buy come from the same spot. It's heavily mass produced, and whatever is the easiest to make and the cheapest to make, that's the highest profit margin. We're going through the same thing with Ivy with her skincare. She's looking at specific ingredients and have the proper dosages. It's just expensive to make. All right, so the price to sell is going to be even higher. And I feel like that's what helped me in the past few years, kind of change my mindset of let's buy quality things versus buying a lot of shitty things. Right? Just t-shirts, for example. I go like Walmart and buy a t-shirt for $5, and then it would shrink or it would rip or something with discolor. So I bought Lululemon shirts, which are not $5, but they last 2-3 years. It lasts so long, and then they rip. You bring it back, they give you another one. And then so it's there's a benefit to buying quality, because then you feel better. So if you have to take protein powder and you want to take protein powder, and you're gonna go buy a cheap brand that's not going to make you feel good, but you psychologically feel better because you're taking in protein powder, but it makes you feel terrible, that's not a win, right? The benefit of psychologically you feeling better, you take protein, is not outweighing how bad you feel, how terrible your digestion is, and how much it's affecting your body.
Yeah, and your long-term health.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
and I think the gut health too has so much to do with how you feel overall. And it reminded me of something that I was going to say earlier, and I probably got caught in my own thought circle and just talking. But when we were down in Costa Rica for our anniversary trip a couple of years ago, which is when Nutrigazm started to come to fruition, because we spent much of our anniversary hanging out with Sebastian. She's so patient. But I learned that I'm probably going to get this wrong, but I'll do the best that I can. A sloth eats something like one leaf, one or two whole leaves a day or every couple weeks or something, and it takes a month to metabolize it, which is why sloths are sloths. Their metabolism moves so slowly that they just kind of have to chill and digest. And that put in my head this thought of oh wow, the more time my body, brain, and gut brain have to spend working to digest fucked up foods, the more tired and fucked up I'm going to be.
Yeah.
Which is another reason I absolutely love this product and the hemp protein powders in general. Again, we have some more hemp protein powders coming, is that they are really light on the stomach in general, and they're super easy to digest, and you're getting this really good, nutritionally dense, not a massive punch of calories, but such nutritionally dense calories that are easy to digest, which is, again, when you take it, there's energetics in there otherwise, right? The chaga and the theobromine and the cacao, the rhodiola, the sea buckthorn with the healthy fats. But it energizes you because it's easy to digest also. And I guess you could probably weigh in here with some more thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, that's definitely how I feel after I take it. So Ivy and I will go train in the morning. We'll come back. We'll make a smoothie with Nutrigazm in it. And I'm going to sit here. I'm going to do some deep work for a few hours. And normally when I would do some of the other protein powders, I just feel a little bit heavier. My brain would be foggy. I'd be working. I get shit done, but just not as much. And I feel more awake and less heavy. Yeah. If that makes sense. I don't feel like I'm just sitting bottom heavy when I'm working. I just feel light and I can kind of do my thing. Yeah, and even before a training session too. So if that's going to be my pre-workout meal to kind of have a smoothie, I don't feel as heavy when I'm on the bike or when I'm running versus having some of the other stuff that takes longer to digest. Yeah, it's huge, and people don't make the connection. I know you guys are seeing this too through the people you're working with, but the connection between what they're eating and what they're feeling. There's such a huge disconnect for a lot of people.
Yeah. I once had a friend ask me, what's the easiest tip you could give me to lose weight? And I said, well, one, drink more fucking water. Yeah. Because most people who want to lose weight aren't drinking enough water, and water fills you up, believe it or not, and it also helps deliver the nutrients that you are intaking. And and detox the bad stuff. But the other thing that I said was, you want to feel light on the inside. If you can make it through an entire day drinking enough water and eating enough calories and never feeling heavy down here, chances are you're going to be burning calories and losing weight. And or if you want to be gaining weight, you could still be gaining weight doing that as well. But feeling light down here, really in my mind, is what makes my days more energized, you know. And as soon as I start to feel caught up and heavy in the gut biome, I start to lose that vigor, that interest in working hard or having a good time or whatever it is, you know, and you really start to feel weighed down. So feeling light on the inside, I think, is a great translation to feeling lighter up here, to feeling better here. Yeah. And as soon as it gets heavy in there, things get heavier up here, they get heavier here.
Yeah. Like, it's people over complexify the process. Yeah. Getting fit is like building a business. You do a lot of boring, repetitive shit over and over and over again, right? Drink your water, stop eating shit food, go to fucking sleep, and move your body every day. Yeah. That's simple. Yeah. But just repeat it. Just repeat it again. Repeat it every day for months on end, and then wow, you got a six pack. What happened, right? But it's the boring, repetitive work. People are always looking for the newest supplement that has this special herb that does fat burning. I'm like, if you eat McDonald's after, it's not going to change anything, even if you take this new fat burner that just came out, right? Yeah. And so it's doing the boring, repetitive work that works, ultimately.
Absolutely. On that note, we haven't talked about sea buckthornberry, which actually does exactly what you just said. So sea buckthornberry comes from the Tibetan Plateau, and it does change the way that your body communicates with your stored fat. So aside from Nutrigazm actually making you really satiated and full, like I'll take it in the morning and I don't end up eating till like 2 or 3 without even thinking about it. It's actually changing, how the food is being digested and how it's being used. And it's also really great for your skin health. Yeah. So sea buckthornberry is pretty magical.
I think rhodiola also is a trigger for that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rhodiola helps your body communicate with stored fat as well, I believe.
Yeah. So what happens
Seb, where you at, bro?
Yeah, when you So what happens when you put quality food in your body.
I know.
So let's talk about new products. I know you guys are working on a few different projects. What's coming down the pipeline? Because obviously this is the flagship product.
Yeah, so I will say on the protein powder side, a little easier to talk about what's in it. It's going to be more hemp protein powders. Again, a bigger kind of rush of natural glucose with a slightly higher flavonoid profile, more protein shaker friendly, I think.
Okay.
Still no excipients, binders, fillers, or anti-caking, nothing like that. All whole foods powders. And then on the really trying to keep it a little more wrapped up side, we do have electrolytes coming.
I'm excited. And I've been training for triathlon, and I'm like cramping. I'm like, Noah, where's my?
Sorry, if I had more time, I would have prepped you some test formula, but they're exceptional. Kaytee is helping me work on some lower calorie ones, but we do have what I'm currently referring to as PEPs, performance electrolyte powders. So these will be electrolytes.
That's funny because you play on PEDs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So performance enhancing drugs for most people.
Yeah, performance enhancing powders, performance electrolyte powders.
Yeah.
And they're a higher calorie. And again, I don't want to get into it too much because Seb's really precious about the IP.
Yeah,
and he's had issues in the past with a lot of his ideation.
So electrolytes are coming.
Electrolytes are coming, and they are. I'm gonna just stamp it. They're fucking game changing. As an athlete and somebody who does a lot of work, as on a stationary bike, just sort of test where my body's at, prepping for alpine climbing and skiing this winter. these electrolyte powders they're off the chain. They're really fucking good. Yeah, I'm super excited.
Any other products coming out, or those are you guys kind of what you guys are going to be focusing on for now?
We're going to have the 3 hemp protein powders with a high flavonoid profile, and then we're planning to have 3 electrolyte powders at least of the higher calorie ones that will be matching flavonoid profiles to those hemp protein powders. Okay. So you'll sort of pick your flavor and roll with that with your protein and your electrolyte. Okay. So having more of a full sort of daily meal kit at that point as well, with the flagship, with the hemp protein and a higher calorie count electrolyte powder that you could repetitively use throughout the day, you could get through a day on just Nutrigazm products, which is a goal we have as well.
Beautiful. So I want to make it, so we talked a lot about Nutrigazm, about how great it is. So for the people listening, you guys have a special discount because it's going to be coming out right before Black Friday. So what is that discount going to be for the fans?
We're going to do up to 25%, depending on whether you're subscribing or not. But we'll have, I think you'll put the discount codes in the description for the podcast. Yeah. And we're just finishing up new packaging. It's a slightly more durable packaging, and I think again, Kaytee came up with this. What do you call it? The new blend, the Adaptogenic Superfood.
Adaptogenic Protein Blend.
Adaptogenic Protein Blend. So just conveying a little bit better what's in the bag, but it is the same exact formula that's in this current bag. Will be in this new bag, and we're just changing the title to Hint of Chocolate. Dark German Techno Chocolate was me and my former DJing career coming up with a way to convey the energetic, and it translated to about 3% of consumers, and of those 3%, 100% of them were tech house or techno DJs.
And German.
And German.
And German. That's the vibe I got from it when I read it for the first time. So for everyone listening, I'll put all the links down below for Nutrigazm and the discount codes that you can use depending on the situation and how you want to subscribe for it. Anything else that I didn't cover that you guys would like to share?
Well, I think one thing that we just wanted to talk about is just really quickly is how much this product has changed some people's lives. I mean, it changed my life substantially, but we've had several handfuls of consumers, and some of them good friends who can text us and ask us these things. Hit me up and say, "Hey, just wanted to check in on how things are going with Nutrigazm. Do I need to make a massive bulk order or anything? Is the company thriving? You cannot take this product out of my life. I literally cannot live without it." And we've had several people say that, which is just really inspiring. And at least a handful of customers actually travel the world with their bags. They will not leave home without it. It's like their MasterCard. You know?
Yeah, and just some of the benefits and results that we've been hearing from people are increased energy. A lot of people are losing weight. Noah mentioned he lost 17 pounds, was it? Yeah. Focus from the nootropics. Mental clarity, hair, skin, and nail health, texture of your skin it can completely change. It's insane what it does for you. Libido.
That's the sea buckthorn, right? Skin, hair, and nails, because omega-3 and the 6.
Omega-7.
Yeah.
Just the beauty elixir, right?
Yeah, the Beauty Omega is omega-7, and it's one of the only natural plant sources of omega-7, because you hear about 3, 6, and 9.
Yeah.
So we've been seeing, again, I'm vegan, so I'm quite biased to plant-based, but colostrum seems to be all the rage right now out in the supplement space and talking about skin and nail health and all these things, but the truth is, I think these things are available in plants, and sea buckthorn berry is definitely one of those ones that does the hair, skin, and nails incredibly. I as a male in my mid 40s, candidly, I've never really given a shit about my skin all that much, and I had a little bit of acne in my early 20s, but otherwise I've been quite lucky with my skin. I have a little bit of seborrheic dermatitis if I don't drink enough water. And when I quit caffeine, it just sort of seemed to dissolve, but I really have noticed how soft my hands have become I don't use hand lotion or anything like that. And I mean, I wash dishes with harsh dish soaps and all that sort of stuff. And It's pretty remarkable what sea buckthorn berry does do for the skin and nail and hair health. Yeah.
It also has a very high vitamin C count.
Yeah.
So I've seen sea
it's
buckthorn.
super high.
Yeah, like incredibly high. I've seen sea buckthorn berry used in topical.
Yeah.
For skincare and
Yeah,
such.
Ivy's gonna put some in her skincare.
Which is amazing. But I haven't seen another product that uses it as a digestible.
Yeah.
I think there is one that I can think of that is an electrolyte powder, but it's also paired with a lot of sugar, so it doesn't actually do and our sea buckthorn berry is, the highest quality that you can find in the world.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Liquid IV has a sea berry
but it has cane sugar.
But the first ingredient's cane sugar.
Yeah, we tested it out. We were at Costco this weekend, and I was like, I'm gonna text Noah to bring me some electrolytes because I never tried the Liquid IV. I didn't like it. Like you can taste a lot of the cane sugar, but it tastes a bit fake. And I was like, well, let's just buy a bag. I was like, I got this a little much, and I don't want to drink a whole bottle of it while I'm working out.
It's remarkable. My friend, again, I'll keep names out, but my dear friend that I do a lot of the alpine ski touring with, and he's in his early 50s, and he's a stud. He's really strong. He's a great climber. But admittedly, he says, I drink Liquid IV because I don't like the taste of water. So it's interesting to know that a lot of consumers are using Liquid IV just essentially, and other products, not trying to harp on Liquid IV, other electrolyte products, just because they don't really like water all that much and they just want something to taste good.
Yeah.
But depending on what product you're using, and Liquid IV, I believe, does have some sugar-free offerings as well. But, if you're just slamming yourself with added sugars because you don't like the taste of water, I don't know that that's the best path forward. Right?
Yeah.
So,
and even if it's a sugar-free one, consuming a shit ton of you're consuming so much sodium and electrolytes all day, and if you don't really work out to use that much, you're just overloading yourself.
Yeah,
sodium retention, and there's
sodium can really do it. What was it? A couple weeks ago, I really had a really first-hand experience. Once in a while, I make my own olive tapenade.
Okay.
And I went off. I ate so much freaking tapenade. And then for 2 days, I could not get off the couch. Yeah. Just my water retention was through the roof. And I was so freaking exhausted. So, yeah, the electrolytes we're bringing are going to have I'll just say they're going to have a really nice balance.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to try them, especially since we're back into training. Going to get more of these medals next year.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I'm excited for Ivy to do a race. She told me she always wanted to do one, but she never did. And I was like, do you want to do a triathlon? She's like, yeah. I'm like, you know what it involves? I'm like, you got to swim. You got to put your hair in water. And and you gotta swim. The water's cold when you go into the pool to train, right? And it's probably going to be in the ocean that you have to swim. He's like, well, is there something else?
How long are the swims? Because I've been thinking about doing triathlons, but I'm short, so I think I'll just get eaten alive in the swim.
Kilometers here. So that's for a half Ironman, though. So 1.9 kilometer swim. I think it's 1.2 miles, or something like that.
Yep.
90 kilometer bike.
Okay.
There's probably 50,
0.6,
60 miles.
so 54 and change.
Yeah.
55
and then a half marathon, basically.
Okay, got it.
So it took me, whatever my last one was, I think, I don't have the times in the back. 5.5 hours. That was my fastest time when I competed. So they're pretty long. If you do something like an Olympic distance or something like this, they're a lot faster. I think it's only 1 kilometer swim. It's basically half of that. Whatever they do at the Olympics, the Olympic distance for Olympic, that's what Olympic distance is. That one's fun. It's fast. It moves fast. Maybe 2 hours, something like that.
Okay. Train for something like
Yeah,
that.
maybe I'll train for 5 years, and then when I turn 50, I'll be in a new age category. Do some damage.
Competition goes down as you progress.
That's right, baby. Well, I was running 5Ks in my mid-30s and looking at times, and I was starting to bust into the 18-minute range.
Yeah.
And sub-18 on a just absolute, for me, blister.
For a 5K?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fast. That's a 36-minute... That's a 3.6 minute per kilometer pace for a 10K.
Yeah, it was a little under 6 minute miles, but that was literally just pushing as hard as I possibly could, and I'd be dead after that. But I was looking at times, and I was like, if I could keep this pace into my mid 40s, I might be able to hit a podium.
Yeah. It's a different. I ran a 10K. There's only one 10K I ever won, and I don't have the medal for it in there because I lost it somewhere. But man, the zone of heart rates, like zone 1, 2. Literally, it started and it spiked to zone 5, and I stayed zone 5 the whole freaking time. Like I never dipped below. My lungs were burning at the end. But I won, so it was great. You recover after. It's okay.
I guess my now ex cousin is sad. He is an ultra runner.
Oh, wow.
And I went and watched him run the LA Marathon. I think he came in at like 2:27. So this guy's running 26 miles straight at sub 5 minute 20-second miles. I'm like, if I could just go run a 5:30 right now, I'd be stoked for a while.
He's ever seen those, like, Kipchoge is, right? He did 2 hours for the marathon. He did the world record. So there's when you go to marathon expos, there's like a massive treadmill, like that's bouncy. Rotates at the speed at which he runs. So you get to try it, and people will last like 30 seconds, a minute. That dude did that for like 2 hours.
That's crazy.
It's impressive what you can, like, obviously genetically he's very gifted, but it's crazy what you can train for once you push. So I want to try. I want to see how long I last on it.
Well, you guys are training twice a day at this point, aren't you?
Yeah, we just started this week.
Wow.
And it was like, we're Wednesday today. And then on Tuesday, I was like, yesterday night for the second one, I was like, I'm tired. It feels like we've been doing this shit for a week. It's been like a day and a half.
That's what Ivy was saying. She's like, my body just needs to rest.
Yeah. So I told her, like, you don't have to do all the workouts.
Yeah.
I know what's coming. Because I'm used to it. I did it for 3 years. I'm like, you don't have to do all the workouts. You just do whatever you want. You don't have to push as hard on the workouts. Like, just get your body used to volume. Mm-hmm. So I think she's going to do a duathlon. So which is a run, bike, run. So she doesn't have to get into the water.
Cool.
Yeah. So I think it's like 10K run, 20K bike, and a 5K run to end.
Now I know why you really got the new tattoo, so you don't have to go in the pool for a couple weeks.
Yeah. Surprisingly, swimming's my fastest discipline.
Well, you're tall, so that makes sense.
I said this in a previous video. My hands are like paddles. My feet too. Yeah.
Holy shit, dude.
Right?
Holy
So,
shit.
dude, I don't need paddles. Like, my hand is the paddle. So, and I never swam growing up. Like, I would say knew how to swim, but I never competed.
Yeah.
So when I got into triathlon, I was like 200 plus pounds trying to like swim, and I got down to 170, and I was a freaking dolphin, man. Wow. I was so fast in the water. Yeah, I miss swimming. It's just like you have to flow. It's kind of like in life, when you try too hard to accomplish something, you have more resistance. Same thing in the water. If you're trying to muscle your way through a swim, you'll be so slow, so inefficient, so tired. You just have to be efficient, glide. So it's just about flowing. That's what swimming is. That's why it's so fun. But yeah, I hate open lakes. I hate the ocean. I don't know for you guys, but I can't fucking see what's under me.
Well, I was on swim team growing up, but I've never done an open ocean.
It's different. Yeah. I love pool swimming. It's great.
Yeah.
But when you're swimming open water in the ocean, every time I swim, when you breathe, you turn your head. I open my eyes. Every time I put my head down, I close my eyes. I don't want to see anything come up towards me.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God.
I love to surf, but it's an exercise of like, and again, you think about the energetics and like you attract what you think about. And so I'm out there bobbing around in the water, like, and there's a great white nursery like just off the coast of like Malibu, I believe. Yeah. And so when I'm out there surfing, I don't surf Third Point much anymore, but where I do go is just north of Malibu, and just sitting there and just trying not to think of sharks and what's under there. And then I love seals because they're adorable. But then if you see too many seals, you start to worry about some great whites coming in to eat them. Yeah. So I can empathize with this plight of yours, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, yeah, but you kind of get used to it. But it motivates you to swim faster if you can get the heck out of there. Yeah. Maybe that's why I have fast times. Is I just want to get out the lake.
I just thought of Mechanic Resurrection too. Jason Statham in that one scene buys the some like no shark cream or something. Like, does that shit really work?
That movie's amazing.
I don't want to test it out.
You don't want to find out it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great company to start because no one's going to argue you at first. Yeah, you buy it to be safe, but yeah. If it doesn't work, they have nothing to say. They're not alive to tell you, so you have no bad testimonials.
Yikes.
Really good point.
Yeah, it's a good business move. So going back to the podcast. So everyone listening, all the information will be down below in the description. Noah and Kaytee, I want to say a massive thank you for jumping on the show, driving out here. I know I live far. I'm like the one friend that lives really far. So I appreciate you guys coming out to the peaceful area of LA.
It's refreshing. Thank you for having us, and such a joy to be on this with you. Thank you. And we're so excited for you and all of the success that you've had as well, and grateful that we were introduced to you by Sebastian.
I can't wait to put you in some Nutrigazm tights for your new races.
We got to talk about that. I'm designing my suit. I'm going to order some
right,
cycling
cool.
jersey. Yeah.
Let's go. You know I got connects down in the fashion district, so we'll get it all hooked up.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So everyone, thank you very much for listening to the podcast episode. If you watch on YouTube, be sure to like it and subscribe. If you watch on the podcast, be sure to rate it 5 stars and share it with someone that would benefit from it. Use those codes down below, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.